we've scaled to 8 figures, and we're helping a lot of different businesses use the power of YouTube ads and video marketing, get more leads and clients. If you're not using AI in your video ads, you're practically living in medieval times. We spent $400,000 on YouTube ads 1 month. The people that enjoy teaching something or have a mission and purpose stay longer.
My name is Andrew Warner. I interview entrepreneurs about how they built their businesses. You know when you're scrolling through YouTube and you see somebody just stop and almost shout at you with something that gets your attention and blah, 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 blah. And then what they're trying to do is get you to go over to some website where you're going to go learn something and then you're going to go buy something. Anyway, joining me today is Aleric Heck. He is the guy who basically helps all those people buy those ads. And he built a bootstrap consulting company where he helps them buy ads, helps them convert those views into actual buyers and sets the whole thing up. In addition, he does it himself. He's a YouTuber himself who got into it by basically buying ads on YouTube for his own stuff. Aleric, you're not going to tell us your revenue. Give us a sense of where the revenue is, and then we'll talk about how you did this.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we've scaled up. We've scaled up to 8 figures, overall, and then now we're a little bit less than that, but we have more of a recurring revenue model. So we shifted the focus on the profit side of things more recently. I'm sure other guests kind of share things like that as well. But yeah, so we're kind of in the multi-millions, and we're helping a lot of different businesses use the power of YouTube ads and video marketing, get more leads and clients.
All right, I want to see an example. So you and I were talking about this nutrition coach who was a client of yours. What was the ad? I want to see the whole funnel, how it works.
Yeah, so basically the client that I was talking about, so a nutrition coach, and they were doing all the different ways to try and go and market. What we did is we helped them craft a value-driven video ad on YouTube, and it went like this. So he said, if a calorie is a calorie, and he holds up a cup measure of oil, why can't you just drink 2,000 calories of oil every day and stay healthy? Well, now that we established a calorie isn't a calorie, why do you think 2,000 calories of pizza is the same as 2,000 calories of salad? There must be something more. And so that hook just captures people's attention. It pulls them in, and it actually tees up an ad where you can provide real value and educate. And that's what I really found.
Because you said to me before, look, these ads can't just be someone shouting, go click over to my website, or a hook plus a shout to website. You said it's hook, education, CTA. The ad then has to teach something about how nutrition works and then say, go to my website and get more.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the way that it'll work is you have that hook, and then what he does in the ad and what our other clients do in their ads is they then provide value. So he'll start talking about, well, there's actually something more. There's the macronutrients. There's the other elements, of the food that you're eating.
Okay,
and that's
all right.
what a lot of people don't talk about.
I'm only interrupting because I understand the rest. I want to understand the rest of the business. So
exactly.
Someone clicks that ad. They go to where? What's the next step in this process?
Exactly. So then they have a call to action to say, hey, I've got a full training that's going to walk you through how this works. And exactly, a free training. Okay. So they click the link on the ad. So the ad's hooked them. It's provided value. Call to action. They click the link. And then they fill out their name, email, phone number. So now they're in your system. And then they watch what we call a video conversion training. So it's like a cross between a YouTube video and a video sales letter that, or webinar type thing, but it's short form.
How long?
So essentially it's usually about 10 to 20 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And it follows a journey and a process of, edifying the expert or whatever the business is, demonstrating some real value in the video. You want to give people, aha moments as they're listening, as they're watching. And then at the end, you have that call to action to go and, either go to a call booking funnel, which in this case, that's what the nutritionist did. And I know we've talked a lot about that. Or you could go directly to a sale, or if it's a software trial, or, whatever that next step is.
Yeah, I've been pinging you by text ever since we met at Brad Weimert's party, because I keep asking questions about how does this work. So one question that I have is, at what point do you send someone to a web page to buy versus the other option, having them talk to a person?
Yeah, so that's where you want to look at the different the different price bands of what your offer is. So what are the different price points of your offer? And then that's where you're going to be able to determine if you want to go to a phone call or if you want to sell it directly.
What are the price points?
So essentially there's kind of 3 main tiers. There's lower ticket. There's kind of a small, like a middle ticket that you could kind of sell. and then there's high ticket. So really higher ticket, anything over $3,000, we recommend going to a phone call. So we've seen this across all the different clients. Actually, over the years, we've worked with over 3,000 clients, which is pretty amazing. So we've seen a lot of data.
Okay.
And so what we've seen is across our clients, if you have an offer that's over $3,000, you're going to have a much higher conversion rate by selling it on the phone. And you get to that area where people just aren't making that impulse decision.
So they watch a video, and then if they like it, they book a call. Right under the video, you say book a call, and at the end of the video, you tell people click the button underneath to book a call. What's a setter in that process versus a salesperson?
Oh yeah, so I know we were talking about that. So basically, you would have an appointment setter is somebody that will call your leads that haven't yet booked a call. So there's gonna be a certain number of people that will click an ad, put in their details, name, email, phone number, watch a video, and then immediately click the link to book a call. And there's gonna be a certain number of people that will do that. But there's also gonna be other people that fill in their details, and actually the majority of people that fill in their details and they don't book a call or they don't watch the video. So what you want to do is you want to have somebody on your team that will actually call and text, and your email can be automated, but call and text all of those leads and say, hey, I saw you just sign up for the training. How can I support you? And have a conversation with them about the reason that they had signed up for the training. If they haven't watched it yet, get them the replay or another link that they can watch it. If they have watched it but they have a question, answering their quick question. But really the goal is for that person to line up the core, we call them an advisor, but that's basically, or an account executive is another term people use for it, but like the main salesperson. So the appointment setter is teeing up that advisor.
And people take calls randomly. So if I click the link on YouTube and then I put in my information to get a call, first of all, I may not put in my right phone number. I probably wouldn't. Yeah. And second, if someone just calls me out of the blue, I don't think I'd answer it. People do.
They do. They do.
What's the percentage?
So basically, oh yeah. So we should have the stats on that, and it has gone down. Recently. By that I mean like over the last year or two, as iPhones have added more call screening features and things like that. But in general, what we'll see is out of 100 dials, what we would be able to see is usually about 6 to 8 people might answer the phone. And then that can turn into, so from phone answer to meaningful conversation is about a 50% rate. So if you have 100 dials, you might have 6 to 8 people answer. From those 6 to 8 people, let's just call it 6 people answer. You might have, or let's say 8 is probably easy. Let's say 8 people answer. You might have 4 meaningful conversations. Those are conversations that are over 5 minutes. That's where you're actually having a real conversation.
Where the setter answers questions, where they talk to them. Yes. And then out of those, how many people will book a call with a salesperson?
Another 50%. So it would then be 2 from that would be booked on with a salesperson. And so essentially, and then, the majority of those people, but there might be like a 30% no-show rate. So there might be some people that might not show up to that call. But basically in general, on average, maybe a 1.5 will actually show up to a call and have a conversation. And then you can look at all right, what's your enrollment rate on the back end? But those are the numbers that we see. And so we have a team right now, I think we got about 5 people that basically their entire job all day long is calling our leads, our new leads, and also our past leads, because we have a couple 100,000 contacts in our CRM, people that have gone through. Because, the other thing too is we're not just, we practice what we preach. We've spent, I personally in my business, AdOutreach, we've spent over $7.7 million on our own YouTube ads.
Over how many years?
Yeah, over the past 9 years in business, but we've really been heavily advertising over the last 6 years, like a lot of businesses, even though, we kind of
What's your average monthly now for your products?
For our products and all of that, in terms of
how much are you spending monthly, a month on YouTube ads for your products?
Yeah, so we'll spend right now, depending on the month, because there's seasonalities. Like right now in the summer, it might be a little bit lower. So right now we're around $50K a month, but we could go up to 100. In the past, there was a point. My biggest month where I spent money on ads, we spent $400,000 on YouTube ads one month. That was in 2021, 2022. So there are certain areas of really blitz scaling. Like I said, right, one of the big things that I've learned is some of the ins and outs of business in general and setting up more recurring revenue and focusing on profits, not just top line revenue growth, things like that. But yeah.
Okay, and what you're selling is you're basically selling training that teaches people how to buy ads on YouTube. It's the kind of thing that fits in nicely with your agency.
Exactly. And we also have now an agent, exactly, like the agency side. So we have clients that, we can run it for them, but then, a lot of our clients, they want to learn our process. And that's how we're able to really scale because, we have our select group of more invite only, high tier clients that we're running ads on their behalf. And then we have a bigger group of people that we're training on YouTube ads through our strategies, training either their internal person, their media buyer, or even training other agencies on how it works.
All right. So if I'm listening to this and I say, all right, I want to do this right, that means I need to have somebody make calls, 100 calls, just to get 8 people to talk, 4 of them to talk seriously, 2 of them to book a sales call afterwards, 1 of those people to show up. That sounds like an insane thing to try to copy. I can't set that kind of operation up, right? First,
yeah.
How do you get to the point where you can set that operation up and then say, you know what, Aleric, I'm ready for you guys to take over?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the other thing is you don't actually need that to start. So you could actually start without that. What that will do is basically double, like in general, we'll see it'll double your results by doing that. But it also doesn't mean that you can't get really solid results just by running ads to a funnel which has like a video to booking a call. So in general, what we're seeing is about half the calls would be booked. And for us, it's actually a little bit less. It might be like 40, but also part of it is we've got speed to lead. So I'll actually give a little caveat in a second. This gets a little technical. So basically, we'll see maybe about 40% of the calls actually book directly through the funnel. So they see the ad, they fill out their information, they watch the video, and then they book a call. And right now, our other 60% would be our team calling people. Here's the thing, though. There would have been, even if we didn't have a team calling, a certain number of people that would get our automated emails or just later after watching the video, they would have booked anyways.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily that you're missing out on 60% if you don't do it. You might be missing out more on like 40% because I would say probably another 20% of people would just book naturally even if we didn't have people reaching out. They just didn't book that day for some reason. So essentially, somewhere in the range of doubling your bookings. But at the same time, you're still going to get a certain amount of bookings for people going through. There's going to be a certain amount from residual. So if you don't have somebody calling them to actually do that, it might just be from an email that you send or them thinking about you later.
Okay. But the funnel tends to be video ad on YouTube to a landing page, learn a little bit more, book a call. If you book a call, close on the call. Is it 1 call to close or is it 2 calls generally?
The average is 2 calls.
2 calls.
So that's another thing that, yeah. So the average these days is probably going to be about 2 calls or a little bit less than that. I'd have to pull those exact stats. So we have a lot of people that enroll on the first call. And then there's a few that might go to more than 2 calls.
Okay.
So I would say the average probably is around, 1.5 to 2 calls.
And then at the end of that, you end up with $3,000 to $10,000 in sales.
Yeah, and ours is a little, yeah, exactly. And ours is on the, because obviously we're working with businesses, a little bit on the higher side. If you have more of a nutrition coaching thing, it might be on the lower side, those types of numbers. It just depends on what offer you have.
I'm thinking about someone who seemed to have done this really well for a period, Ty Lopez. He's gone, I think. He's not buying these ads anymore. And when I think about this space in general, I see that there does not seem to be a lot of longevity. Most of the players become kind of ad famous. They kind of like the old infomercial guys, and then they disappear. How sustainable is this business? Not yours, but your clients.
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I think that's something that a lot of people are looking at because, how it really depends on what the motivations that the expert or content creator or person has for creating their course or coaching program.
It's always
or
money, attention, and teaching. Money, they want a little, obviously, right?
Yep.
They want fame, and then they also really enjoy teaching something.
And that's where I think the people that enjoy teaching something or have a mission and purpose stay longer, because this is a space where essentially what we've seen happens is people come in. This is actually really interesting. I love this question. I've never been asked this type of thing. So this is why you're amazing at what you do. So basically, I think in this space, people come in and they start with all of those things, but also they're really probably more weighted on the teaching side. Because early on, you're not going to get as much money or fame. And so all of a sudden, now you have people that are following you. Maybe you got a little bit of social media following. Then you work with, us or a company like us to run ads, and you ramp it up. And then you have all these people coming in. You're helping all these people. So then there's a couple different things, because as you scale, you could also run into challenges. So you might accidentally, scale too fast, too quickly, which honestly, I've seen a lot of businesses, especially with ads, they scale too quickly. We even had some challenges with that in the past that I kind of alluded to, where we needed to restructure like some of our internal operations in the business, to be able to really line ourselves up more profitably and have long-term, recurring revenue, versus just more upfront. With coaching, right? It's really easy, and training, it's really easy to sell upfront packages, but then, how do you actually build more of an ecosystem that you can work with people? And so what I've seen is people do that, and then they might get into a spot where they've now achieved money and a degree of fame, but then things get harder for some reason. And if they're not motivated by the teaching or a mission that they have, then they've made the money. They've also sometimes they've reached a peak of fame and they're starting to go down and decline. Maybe their ads are, like they've reached the degree of scale that they can get. Maybe they're doing a little bit less than they were before. And that's where some people just pack up shop and they say, I made my money, or I'm going to do this, or they get shiny objects.
Do they actually make their money and finish up?
Some people do.
I don't know. Give me an example of someone who made their money and finished up. I used to go to Baby Bathwater. I went once. Baby Bathwater has a lot of people like this, right? Weren't you there recently?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly. I was there. So exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to name names.
Why not? Someone who made money and was able to walk away. We're not saying how much money. Who are some of the people who you look at and you go, this is the success story here?
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at that. I mean, I was even talking. Actually, I'll give an example, because he shares this publicly, right? It's like I was talking with Michael Lovitch, who ran Baby Bathwater, and he ended up selling that. And actually, it's kind of funny enough. I was literally talking with him earlier today. So he tells his story. He built up his business. He had a couple different businesses. He had his hypnosis, kind of more coaching style business, and then he had his supplement line. And he scaled those up, made a bunch of money, exited them, and then created Baby Bathwater to have fun.
Did he get rich? Do you think that he got to keep his money?
I think he's definitely utilized that, but he basically has built that up. And then the conversation I had with him earlier today is he's actually now jumping back in for the first time. He said in almost 15 years, where he's got a new company that he's scaling up, a new app, and we were talking about that. And so it's and he's excited actually now to start doing this again. But he said, for the last certain number of years, he had kind of done that. But that's not the only thing. I think the other thing, I think you had a good question. So that is example, and there are people like that too. But I think that the other example is, and I'm not saying this about him, so there's other people. So that's one example, is that side. There's other people that might go and it gets harder and they just don't want to continue. They don't have grit to continue, right? And, I think that's one thing that I have seen as well, is that there are people that, build up, and you even gave an example, right? Some people that might build up really quick, and then maybe they get some backlash, or even though they were, doing good things at a certain area, but then, they kind of just fall off because, maybe they have challenges with their business, things get harder, and, they just decide to say, hey.
It feels very difficult to build a sustainable business and a sustainable exit. If I'm thinking about a software company like GitHub, Tom Preston Werner, I think he was kicked out of the company for some nonsense. I don't remember what. It was some kind of, I don't know. He was kicked out. He founded GitHub, though. Company sold to Microsoft. Yeah. He's doing really well financially. You look even, that's a famous company, big success. Cody McClain, he created Support Ninja. Small company, not really known outside of our space. He's financially so well set up that he's got robots opening and closing doors for him here in Austin, Texas, virtually as well. So what I'm saying is, in all these different spaces, software, services, you see people who exit nicely, who keep their money. For some reason, there's something about this space that gets people famous and doesn't create a lasting enterprise or a lasting fortune. And I don't know that I can figure it. Maybe you have more insight, maybe you don't, or maybe it feels like I'm kind of attacking the space you're in, which I don't mean to be. I want to figure out who the lifelong people are. And where could that be made today? that kind of success.
I think it's a really interesting thing. And I also think that in this space, it's definitely more, and I'd say one of the lifelong people like is Alex Hormozi. I mean, he just had a $100 million launch, just this, recently. And, with his book, his new Money Models book, $100 million Money Models. And, he had an exit of his, coaching style business for gyms, 46 million. So obviously that's why I think a lot of people look up to him, is because he's paving that. But I do agree, it's very hard to exit this type of business because it has a personality brand attached. And then there's reasons, do people like, do that or not? I'm kind of in a spot where a lot of these people are my clients. I have more of like a cross between an agency / consultancy, and I do have the coaching element too. So I'm kind of in this hybrid. I also have a software that I've created, and a lot of people, what I see them doing, and Sam Ovens has done this, is go and pivot to creating software. Because I think the thing is a coaching business is not a sellable asset. It can be a high cash producing asset when it's run correctly, and when it's on, you're kind of focused on those profits. It can be a high cash asset, which, unlike software, you might need to pour a ton of money into development. Maybe not today with AI evolving, but in the past you just have to hire a big development team. And so essentially, like, there's pros and cons. You might get more cash initially, which also is what helps people get even more famous, because then they can have all these lifestyles and stuff. I don't personally do that, but like there's people that do that, right? That you kind of mentioned. But it's different than in the software space, where it's more of a payoff at the end of the day. But I'm seeing more people pivot from this industry over to software, and I think it's a really good way of building a personal brand. And then it's, what do you do with it next? And so even I'm looking at that. I've got my AI ad targeting software, keywordsearch.com, that we really ramping up as well. And so I'm kind of putting my brand behind a software that we're developing, and I intend to scale that to an exit. Whereas with AdOutreach, I plan to keep that long term. It's my personal brand company. Those don't have big exit multiples, but it does have the ability to produce consistent cash flow, and especially the way we've set it up now with more recurring revenue, it can be a really strong business.
Who just occurred to me is doing well long term? Tim Sykes. The guy who teaches people how to invest. At the time that I interviewed him, he taught people how to invest in penny stocks. I had a big event here at my house, and his business partner came out. His business partner made bank and is still continuing to from this business. And they've been doing this now for well over a decade. Like, I have a really nice property here in Austin. He started telling me and describing what his property is. It sounds like it's way bigger, and he's got a staff of people taking care of his stuff. All right, so there are some that exist, and actually I feel like your business might be one of them, partially because of the longevity. How long have you been around?
So 9 years. So we just crossed over 9 years.
Do you take your money out of the business?
I take money out of the business. I invest in different things. It has been more than $1 million a year. Recently I've been investing into the software and different things. So the last couple of years I've been reinvesting a little bit more for the future. So, that's kind of making bigger bets. But for many years,
And so when you take it out of the business, what do you put it into?
That's a good question. So I diversify my kind of strategy, or I try my best to do that. And basically a lot is in kind of overall like stock market. I don't try to pick individual stocks. I've got index funds. Also basically. So I'm 28, right? So like I've got a longer time horizon to be able to have that pay off long term. But then I have several rental properties. I have. So like single family, like rental properties in a few different, like I have like 3 different states and a few properties across those. And then I have, I actually like investing in, I'm in a rolling like venture fund, which is cool as well. So I kind of like that, because you invest in different like startups and businesses and things like that. Well? And even though those, so I mean, I can't necessarily talk about the specific, like they have all these NDAs and stuff like that. It appears to do well. So I'm in Kamal Ravikant's fund, and he's an amazing guy. He's like a really great. So Naval's brother. He actually wrote a fantastic
great book.
Love
Yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Such
Love
a
yourself
dopey
like your life.
title and name and concept, and so amazing in every way. James Altucher turned me on to it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Really
okay.
amazing book. Yeah.
All right. let's just talk a little bit more about the ads and then how you built up the business. What are some of the important aspects of this? It feels like creative on the front end is like you and I, we met at that party. I gave you a ride home. I loved our conversation. And you told me, you know what? I was in a self-driving car and I just pulled my phone out and I recorded. What was the thing that you recorded when you happened to be in a self-driving car?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So basically, yeah, I was in one of the Waymos here in Austin, right? And I recorded, just pulled out my phone. I had an ad hook just instantly pop into my head because I've been doing so many of these. Sometimes this just pops in. And so I get into the Waymo and I'm recording in the back seat. So there's nobody driving. It's driving itself. As it's driving, I say, I basically say, this is a Waymo, or what does this self-driving car have to do with YouTube ads? Well, they're both powered by Google's AI. You see, Google owns Waymo that makes these cars that drive themselves. But Google also owns YouTube. And if Google can create tech that creates a car that can drive itself, do you think that it could actually target your ideal clients with YouTube ads? Well, absolutely. And that's what I'm going to show you. So basically I just had this idea in my head. Sometimes I just think in ad hooks. And I just jumped in and filmed it, and that ad, is doing quite well. So it's one of several different ads that we're scaling and running, continuing to do well. So it was like a top performer. We really scaled it up, and then obviously as the novelty dies down, we have other creatives that do better. Actually, right now we're doing a ton with AI ad hooks. So those are the ones that started beating that. So anytime we have a hook that beats control, so that was actually a really big breakout earlier this year. And then now we're testing a lot of AI ad hooks with Google VO3, where we can go and create an 8-second ad hook, and we can just have our team just create a ton of them. So I've been doing some workshops, teaching people how to create these, AI ad hooks that they could put at the beginning of a video, and really just pull people in.
Give me an example of something that's worked.
The one that's working the best for us is me dressed as a medieval king. But I've got a big YouTube play button on, on my kind of medieval shirt, cape and all that stuff. And so anyways, I'm walking through a medieval town, and I say, if you're not using AI in your video ads, you're practically living in medieval times. And then it cuts to me. So the other thing is, that's an AI 8-second clip. Then it cuts to me as normal talking head. And now I'm going to show you how you can use the power of YouTube ads and video marketing to generate more leads and clients. So I think the reason that works well is the AI captures people's attention, but then it does continue with me and actually provides value. What we are seeing, and this is really interesting, I think people find this interesting, purely AI ads are not working as well as ads that have no AI. But what's working the best is AI hook followed by a traditional ad. And I have a hypothesis for that, right? So by purely AI ad, I mean an ad that's like a ton of 8-second clips all back to back. Those ads aren't working as well. And I think it's because it doesn't have a human element. Anybody can create it, which we subconsciously know. It's like, what is this company? What is this brand? Ads that are just traditional, they're not capturing attention quite as much, and you can't as rapidly split test the hooks. What we're finding is an AI hook, the 8 seconds, that's what captures people's attention. But then after that, you go into more of a traditional ad.
Give me a sense of like that one with you dressed in medieval garb. Mm-hmm. What's the cost per click? What's the cost per acquisition that you get from that?
Yeah, so cost per click, cost per acquisition. So it is going to vary depending, because I don't have all the specific
roughly, like,
details.
what are we talking about? Something that's that successful. What would it cost per click on that?
Yeah, so a cost per click these days, and again, we're targeting more B2B, so like higher end, so we might get anywhere from, it might be around like $5. I'd have to check the exact stats. Mm-hmm. But that's also B2B. So we're targeting people that are like business owners that are looking to market and advertise in the United States, top 10% household income. So you can obviously, so that's why I don't like talking, because then you're going to have people in an industry that are like, oh, I would never pay that much. And you're going to have people who are like, so people in more of a consumer industry, they'd be like, oh, I need to get much lower. Then you'd have people who are attorneys, they're like, I would kill for, $5 clicks. So it is really just going to depend. What would it be typical for you
to get a sense of comparison between a regular typical ad versus this $5 result?
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be so regular typical ad, and honestly, again, like I'm giving a overall ballpark. I'd have to look at the exact specifics. I think that also some of these AI ads may be performing even better than that. I think I would need to like look at the exact stats. What I would say is kind of like a typical ad for us might get for a high end B2B lead might be around $25 to $30.
Okay.
So we could potentially get a lower cost. With a high conversion rate, and our landing page conversions are pretty solid because we've been dialing that in. So we have like our control landing page. It might get like 30% conversions. We have other pages like 20%, and obviously we ask for a phone number, so that can reduce it a little bit. But basically, if you're doing the math there, that might get us, let's say, a $15 or $20 lead, whereas maybe we're paying $25 to $30 for our types of leads, which are business owners, United States, top income, looking to advertise on YouTube. So
that's
again,
a
it's
solid improvement over something that you find that is creative and new, like you being in Waymo when that's new, you using AI when it's new. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm with you on all this. Let's go a little bit personal and then we'll come back to business. We met at Brad's party. Number one, freaking beautiful place. Do you look around there and you go, what the hell am I doing with my life?
I know. Hey, it pays to get the little bit from every transaction.
Right.
But
because
Brad's amazing, though.
Why am I blanking on his name? What's his company name?
Easy Pay Direct. Yeah, and we're clients of Brad, and
That's what you mean.
I love it.
He's like a Stripe competitor, and so a lot of companies, like you used to be with Stripe. Stripe caused some kind of agita for you. You said, screw it, I want to work with a company where I know the founder, and so if there's a problem,
yes,
right, and so you work with him. So that's it. But also, the guy knows how to freaking live. Everything from how his abs are to I went out to dinner with him and a girlfriend that he had just met fairly recently and my kids. He's a good hangout guy, even with the kids. The woman is beautiful, super smart. She's like doing Airbnb businesses, great conversationalist. I go, where the hell did this guy end up with this life? And then he buys this house on the lake, pool, space out that goes right into the water, double deck this, lots of rooms there, right? The whole thing. Bar all over the place. And you look at the people who he's inviting out, and the guys are interesting and look good and have interesting styles. Like, what's his name? Jesse Elder is a good example, right?
Oh, yeah.
A little out there, right? I think he has a compound somewhere in Austin that he won't tell anyone where it is. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know the Austin stuff as well as you do. You've been here a lot longer. But doesn't Jesse also have some kind of hidden place here in case the apocalypse
he's got
comes?
a compound. I don't know exactly where it is. I don't know how. I definitely know. I don't know. Where it's at. So
super interesting, emotionally connected person. Great so a bunch of that. Then there are these women who he had dated, who are all around, just talking to each other. Super smart women, all hanging out together. He stays in touch with all of them. Do you feel that way? Because you're single. You're 29. Do you feel like this is what I should be doing? Buy a house on the lake and ask Brad for dating advice?
I mean, I think that's something that, definitely when I was out there, I'm like, all right, getting a lake house looks really nice, and looking at that. Right. What's kind of interesting is, you look at different things. The aspirational purchase that I'm not at a spot to get it right now, but actually that I'm most interested in. I actually even had this thought. It's kind of funny. It's like you're like, all right, what should I have on my vision board? Should it be a lake house? It's actually a private jet. That's what I want at a certain point. Is I want a jet to fly around. I traveled to a lot of different events the rest of this year. I mean, some people go to a lot more, but I'd actually probably go to even more, if it was easier to actually make the travel work. I speak at events. I attend different masterminds. I network. Different connections and things like that.
Because you get customers from going to events. Like I think you and I were supposed to record this a few weeks ago. I happened to be in Australia with a connection I didn't like, and I didn't like the backdrop and all that. You were going to Bali or something to speak at events. Like, how many days a year would you say you're out traveling for work?
So I probably do an average of about, 2 trips per month. And then, they're not all like a week long. So I'd say probably about like a quarter to a third of the time, which isn't as crazy, but there's some switching costs because some of those days, maybe I'm not including our travel days where I'm kind of here and traveling. There's definitely people that travel a lot more than me, but the other thing is I'm also running like, this full business. I've got, my office here as well. So there is a degree where I want to be in Austin as well. And so that's one of the things where it makes it more of a travel day without having that type of thing.
So when you travel, are you? Yeah. I know I've seen you speak. You speak at high-end events, right? They make you look great on stage. You do smaller masterminds, right? They do. If you're flying all the way out there, what's the conversion rate for getting customers for the agency from something like that? And what's your process?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. What I will say is our main way we're getting clients is still our YouTube ads. That's our broader approach where we're bringing people in. So, we practice.
Meaning people come in and watch one of your videos. They then go and sign up maybe for a course and then after that they sign up for the agency, or they say skip the course.
Book a call.
I just want to do it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Where you get the
we have
majority.
a hybrid offer that's our most popular. So it's kind of got some done-for-you elements, one-on-one support, helping people get set up with the ads, and then more one-on-one. So we actually have a hybrid offer between coaching and an agency. That's our most popular offer. Which I can talk a little bit about, because that's something that I've kind of figured out that what's scalable, but it's going to really impact clients, and actually we can kind of undercut what other agencies are charging, but provide a lot more value. So there's a lot of really cool things that we did with that. So that's our most popular offer that we sell on the phone. Is like a hybrid offer. We're writing the YouTube ad scripts. We're helping them, or video ads. So it's not just YouTube. You can apply this also to Meta. We've got experts as we've grown our team. We've got around 28, 29 people on the team right now. So basically, as we've grown, we also not just have our YouTube experts, we also have, Meta, we have YouTube channel growth experts. We have different people on our team.
How many people on the team?
So about, give or take, 28, 29 people
28,
currently.
29 people. And how many of them are in Austin here?
So we have less in Austin than we used to. So we've gone more hybrid and remote. Basically, we have around I think 7 people here in Austin. So we definitely have a bigger office space than we need. So that's one thing that we're looking at. Because at one point we had more of our people here, but what we ended up doing was we didn't want to just limit ourselves to a location. We wanted to hire the best person for each role. And so that's one of the things that we've kind of shifted over the last few years to having more people. Mostly across the U.S., but then we also have some people, in Canada, UK, and then we have some VAs and stuff like that as well.
Okay. And so when you're going to an event, I'm sensing you're mostly speaking or somehow some kind of special guest, right? And so some number of people find out about you, then they follow up and say, you know what, I could use this. I'm assuming that's not a big number compared to your others, but that's where the highest value comes in. Somebody sees you blessed by a conference organizer and says, I want to work with this guy.
Yeah, it's it's got a few different combinations, because basically what it is it's a lot smaller number in terms of the number of clients, but it's some of our highest caliber clients that might go straight to our highest, more of our done for you packages, or they might be, just an easy yes for our hybrid package and stay long term. They're also typically connected, so it creates really good word of mouth, referrals. And I can go to an event, I'll know that will turn into, multiple clients at least. So that, of course, covers all the travel and all that opportunity. But then it's putting my brand out there so that people are seeing me, I'm speaking, and I like going to events. That's my lifestyle component. So, instead of going, at least in this day and age, and this just probably speaks to where I'm at in my life right now, instead of going, to a lake house just kind of chilling, I actually love going to events. So I'll go to an event. I'll enjoy going to the event. I'll get to network with people. I'm growing my connections, meeting, incredible people. Yeah. It's by the way, that lake party was a great example of, the types of things oh, hey, make great new, connections and friends. And then I know some people will become clients. Some people will become referral partners, and it will grow my positive word of mouth in the industry. I'm going to deliver a really good, talk, and it's hard to track, but those people come back around. They mention it. So that's kind of beyond obviously the client word of mouth. That's also growing my event speaking word of mouth side of things as well. But it is a balance. I need to decide. I've gone back and forth. I've had years where I basically just absolutely I'm spending even more time on the road at a ton of events. I also had a couple years ago where I said I'm really not going to do that many events, and I only went to a handful of key events that I was asked to speak at. And I really focused on, retooling other elements of the business to make it more long term.
I love
I was kind
events.
of alluding to.
I'm totally with you. Like you saw me at Brad's event.
Yeah.
I loved going to talk to people.
Yeah.
I walked around. I found out when everyone had sex for the first time, what drugs they liked, and all this kind of stuff. And then I asked you, and one of the reasons we bonded is because you were like, dude, we just met. What are you invading my sex life for? And it was so uncomfortable. But I think I made it comfortable afterwards, right? But on both fronts.
Yeah.
That I made you feel uncomfortable by going deep, and then with other people around, and then I think I also recovered the relationship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And we had great conversations around, especially around like, diving into the business side. And I also love the way that you ask questions, because you really cut to the core of it, and you ask questions that other people, I don't know if they're afraid to ask, but don't think to ask, and so, yeah, I mean, even exactly on this, but it's the same thing at the event. I think it's really great. Everybody has their own superpower, and I think that's a big superpower you have. I like to think with myself, I genuinely get really excited about marketing, and also like kind of finding new ways to like do that. And so that's why when I go to events, like I'm just there to share, provide value, have great conversations. I get excited about people's marketing, and it's like, hey, like if you're considering YouTube ads, or you know somebody who is, like, we can have a conversation and see how that can support. But either way, I'm just gonna make great connections.
This whole thing got started because you created a YouTube channel. What it was called? App Finder, right?
Yes. Yeah. App Find. Yeah.
App Find. You were in college. You were just it was just your hands on the video.
Yeah. And I actually started even before that. So I really scaled it up in college, but I actually started, the YouTube channel back in 2009. So I was like, 12 years old, and I started the channel, and, and now it's, basically exactly like 16 years, later, we grew to like 600,000 subscribers. I was really focused on it in high school and college. It helped pay for college. And, it was one of the largest app review.
Look at this. 16 years ago, the first post is ball fill app review. I don't even know what this is. I can't believe I didn't see this before this interview. Oh, it's a shaky video of you going around your house. I see it. You are then going to, you've got your phone on a seat. You're holding your camera on the seat cushion where the butt goes, and you're showing me the app. This is adorable. It is great. I see your email address in there, the whole thing.
Yep.
When you said, and basically what you're doing is you're giving people walkthroughs of different apps. How much money did you make from this thing?
Yeah, so, well, it got to the point where it was making, like when I was in college, it was making like a couple $100,000 a year between YouTube ad revenue, sponsorship revenue, and affiliate marketing revenue. Those were kind of like the three main revenue streams on the channel side. Mm-hmm. So I had actually really ramped that up, for a channel, basically I wanted to, the way I got into YouTube ads, and it was in college. So I had grown the channel. I was making a couple $100,000 a year with the YouTube channel. I hired somebody to do script writing, video editing. I read, the 4-Hour Work Week, right? So, Tim Ferriss and everything. And so basically I was like, all right, I'm going to automate this. I'm going to get, a script writer, video editor, business development person replying to emails. At one point, we were getting 100 inbound emails a day, because we were one of the top app review channels. So you're seeing the early videos, also the more recent ones. I actually still have the channel. I now have, a long-term, friend of mine, fellow tech enthusiast, Justin, who runs the channel. He's doing the day-to-day on that. So we're still posting every week. He's, posting new content, more tech product content these days. But anyways, basically, because it was one of the top app review channels, I had all these people reach out. So then they would sponsor me to do a video. I did over 250 app sponsorships on that YouTube channel. So I got it down to a science, and then I would promote the app, and they'd get a lot of downloads, like thousands of downloads. So it became, that grew through word of mouth too. So one day, one of the apps, when I was in college, said, hey, how can we get more people to see this video that got a lot of downloads? I say, well, what if we run this as an ad? And so I take some money and basically run it as an ad, and they get thousands more downloads. And so they're blown away. Like, this is great. And this was actually almost exactly 10 years ago. So this was in 2015. And so they're really excited about it. They tell their friends, and you know how this works, right? Then I do, ads for another app, and eventually the performance marketing company that was kind of working with a couple of these apps called me up, and they say, hey, we want you to drop out of college, fly out to Silicon Valley, like join our team. They gave me this really lucrative offer. I turned it down, And that's when I decided to create AdOutreach. And originally it was YouTube ads for mobile apps. I just kind of tapped my network, worked with a variety of different apps there. And then I pivoted over to working more in the coaching industry, when I found, it was like the ClickFunnels booth. I remember at an event I went at HubSpot Inbound in 2016, saw the ClickFunnels booth, and I signed up for that. And then I found all the people who were in the funnel world and, all of that. And I started diving in and, I joined my first mastermind while I was still in college. And then everybody in the mastermind wanted me to help with YouTube ads. And I started doing that. And the rest is history. That's kind of the background.
I heard you helped out the ClickFunnels team. You got one of the 2 Comma Awards. Did you graduate from college? You did early, right?
I did. I did end up finishing and graduating from college. I graduated early too. At one point, I had basically stacked all of my college classes to be 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, all but one of my classes. And it was just like back to back. I didn't even really have time to eat lunch. And then I was taking like sales calls and client calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then I was doing client work for the business on Saturday, and I was doing my coursework on Sunday, and I was just like grinding, but I graduated. I also ran the entrepreneurship club when I was there. That was kind of the legacy that, it grew it, from maybe like couple dozen people to over 150 people while I was there, which was really cool. And UMass Amherst, my alma mater. And but the big thing was, just having it be a really good launching ground for the business, and then moved out here to Austin.
You mentioned ClickFunnels. I've now been hearing so many people talk about high level, or also called Go High Level, because they used to have the domain Go High Level.
Yes.
Are you using Go High Level now? What are you using, and what do you think of this transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are using High Level now, and we recommend, High Level to a lot of our clients. The thing is, like, ClickFunnels is near and dear to my heart because that's where I got a lot of my start. And Russell Brunson is such a fantastic teacher and educator and like foundational person in the space. I was also in his Inner Circle mastermind. I have learned so much. His books are fantastic. And again, the software was very innovative. I think the thing is over time, what people were looking for is an all-in-one solution. I would say High Level is more of an all-in-one solution that businesses can jump into. And I think that's why they're really gaining so much, market share right now, is because it's not just funnels. You have a full CRM. You have your full email stack. They added AI agents so they can text people, they can call people. So we've established a little bit more of a deeper, connection and partnership with High Level as well. And, we're working with them. We recommend it to a lot of our clients. So it's one of those things where there's different things. Like I love like ClickFunnels. We work with we even, had them as a client. We, work with their team. But at the same time, I think there's so much opportunity, with High Level to be able to have kind of an all-in-one solution. So I think a lot of people, are shifting over, and I love the all-in-one platform because now we can create snapshots for our clients that in one click just basically load up all the different things that they need, not just for their funnels, but for their emails, for their, autoresponder sequences, text sequences, automations. They did a really good job basically making it plug and play.
Meaning it's replacing ConvertKit or Beehive for you too?
So that's So basically, for sending emails, like a ConvertKit type thing, absolutely. And then basically we still have some newsletter software. So again, like for us, as the size company we are, it's not necessarily replacing everything, but a lot of the different things that we've utilized. Yeah. And then for a lot of our clients, though, it's really like they don't need really any other software. I think for sometimes when you're bigger, maybe you have a couple of like specialized software. Okay. But for a lot of people, I think you can have an all-in-one solution is really good. So like for instance, a friend of mine from college, he basically has been in the corporate world for a long time, really worked his way up, and now and he's been helping people with like their kind of career transitions, and so he's now actually shifting over to basically being a corporate career coach. Okay. He worked his way up to a director at a very young age, and so he worked his way up really fast the way I did in the entrepreneur side. He did in the corporate world, but now he's jumping over to the entrepreneur side, and he's like, all right, what should I do to set all this stuff up? And one of the first things I said was to get the High Level account because it gives him everything that he needs in one place. And and he was like,
"Oh, this is use though."
Amazing.
It's not an easy piece of software to use.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting. I think that's an interesting thing. It's like I think that because you have there's definitely technical pieces, and I think that that's one thing that maybe some other software has that might be a little bit intuitive. That being said, there's a lot more power. I think it just depends on like the path that you go. So with us, we have our clients where we have the kind of pre-built templates. We also are able to, we work with the company to provide like, kind of 24/7 support. So there's some of these different like, companies that actually their whole business is to provide high-level tech support. I don't know if you know that, but one of our, there's a company, High Level Pro Tools, Matt DeSeno, and he's in the whole like marketing and entrepreneur space, and we helped train their team up on YouTube ads at one point, and we're a client of theirs, for their, and they have like these tools that build in, but they also, their big thing, it's kind of funny because their name is still the Pro Tools, but their big thing is basically helping with customer support. And so they have a whole team of, VAs and agents that you can plug in. And if you're an agency or you're a marketing consulting business and you're recommending High Level, you can have those like kind of dedicated people that go in. Obviously, High Level has their own support.
They do outsource support for agencies that use Go High Level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
It's really interesting.
The software that you use to dial and get 100 calls out, so 8 people will actually take the call and do text. That's not High Level, is it?
That's Alaware, and it can connect with High Level. So that's the type of thing. So it's called Alaware. There's other ones. We've actually tried a bunch of these. So you can do that type of thing in High Level. I think there's a degree where it's like if you're building, from scratch, you're building things up, you don't need a ton of different like softwares. It's like, let's just get the MVP and let's like launch and let's get you, going. So you can do those features in High Level. But if you want to kind of have power dialer, aspects, that's where we kind of, but it's all integrated. So that's a cool thing is you can integrate it with High Level. So it basically can
an order comes in on a form, goes into the CRM in High Level. Person doesn't continue on to book a call. Someone on your team gets that person's phone number on their screen. The auto dialer auto dials. If they get through, it gets recorded into the CRM, that whole thing. And it's just Alaware plus High Level.
Exactly. You can combine exactly
all right,
together.
Give me one other software that's fun, and then I'll ask you one last thing about agency, and then we'll close it out.
Well, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, so I've got my own, software. There's keywordsearch.com. It's my AI ad targeting software. And what that does is it allows people to just put in the URL of their business. It will go and read their entire site and then give them the different audiences you could target with YouTube and Google Ads. It's a tool that I wanted to have for a long time. And I built this out so that it's really easy to get all of the different things people are searching for on YouTube, searching for on Google, audiences that you could potentially target, URLs people are going to, like the URL audiences I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Just click which ones you want, and as a one-click integration to Google Ads. So that software, and I also, I actually have a new software that I launched because I've been building up the software side.
By the way, keyword search it's beautiful. I can see why it's doing well. And I could see also how it builds on your credibility and reputation in this space. Yeah, what's the other software?
Thumbnailcreator.com.
Oh,
so
for YouTube.
We created an AI YouTube thumbnail creator.
Thumbnailcreator.com?
Oh, yeah. Thumbnailcreator.com. I love having good domains.
You really do. The freaking Go High Level people should just call their company Go High Level already. I interviewed Sean, it was like 4 years ago at this point. I called it Go High Level on the website. He didn't seem to have a problem with it, but they don't own highlevel.com, and they still go back and forth between calling themselves Go High Level and High Level. I do like that you have your firstname.com, Aleric.com. I like that you have keywordsearch.com. You have thumbnailcreator.com. That's damn good. Tell me about this thing.
Yeah, thank you. So what it does is we've trained it on millions of YouTube thumbnails. Of course, basically we have a way to do that. We're not like doing one by one, but basically it's like, here's what's converting in these different industries or niches. Here's what actually has like the top, kind of views, and we can kind of anticipate potentially click-through rates by looking at like what people are searching for, what appears first in the search results. And so we've trained it on the top thumbnail. So what creates a top YouTube thumbnail from our data and also scraping YouTube's data. And what that allows us to do is then train the model. So we didn't create our own, we're running off of actually multiple AI image generation models. So there's the ChatGPT, but there's also Flux and a few different models that we're looping in. So we're not reinventing the wheel. What we're doing is we're taking our data, we're combining it with the best image models. What we found out is there's a model that's actually better at creating faces, and there's a model that's better at creating the background of the thumbnail. So we can actually put the two of those together, and we can create a software that somebody doesn't have to go to all kinds of different things. If you just ask ChatGPT for a thumbnail, it's not going to know what's going to convert. It's not as good at faces. I mean, they've made some updates, but what we can do instead is we can have our software that combines different AI models.
I see that. And I also like how once I get it, I can say, I'm looking at the example, move the text over to the right and make the guy's hair on fire. You can do it. Can I replace my face? Can I put my face over the thumbnail design? Yeah. So I see a thumbnail design that I like. I say, put the guy's hair on fire. I like that too. Then I come back and say, make my face on the site instead of the person on the thumbnail. All right. Right on. Yep. Cool. You know what? As long as we're doing this too, you also have a book. What's the book coming out? What is it called?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's Video Authority, the art and science of converting viewers into clients. We do have videoauthoritybook.com. I would have loved the main core domain. Haven't quite negotiated that yet. But so that's not one I'm as excited about, but that domain. But that's going to be coming out very shortly. So we're excited for that as well.
Send me an early copy of it. How do I get an early copy? Can I do digital instead of paper?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I can definitely.
You trust me with your digital? Most people do.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
What's his name? Noah Kagan comes into my house. He's in my office over here at dinner, and then he goes, "Andrew, you freaking got all these books, but where's mine?" And I showed him. He sent me an early copy of his book, when it was in printout form, and I have that up on the bookcase prominently. I'd love to have yours too, but digitally. All right, let's close it out with this. The other thing that I noticed suffers a lot is agencies. People build these agencies. They end up being one-person operations. They scale a little bit beyond. It doesn't work, and then it comes crashing down where they say, screw this. Then they go to one of two directions. Take a job working with one of their clients or another job, or they go back to essentially freelance mode, and now they take on 2 or 3 clients and they limit themselves. You have longevity and you have size. Why? What are you seeing that others aren't doing?
Yeah, I think the big thing is we have a couple different pieces. So I've spent a lot in growing the brand, growing our marketing, and actually putting myself out there in multiple avenues. So, I am running a lot of ads myself. I'm also speaking at events. I'm networking. I'm meeting people. And then when it comes to delivery, we invest a lot into our fulfillment, our client services, working really closely with all of our clients. And so, that's a big element as well. I think some people, they don't invest as much into, the infrastructure, the back end. We're constantly innovating. So with Google VO3 and AI, we're on the cutting edge. I'm doing workshops on that. Our team is crafting ads for that months after the software came out. And we were really actually doing it. We basically had a playbook a month after. You don't want to have a playbook the day after because it's not going to be the best playbook. But also, you don't want to have to wait 6 months or a year because you're going to be behind, especially with AI. So we're always on the cutting edge. We're innovating really fast. We've got a great company culture. And the other thing is I love what I'm doing. I also have, the longstanding, kind of vision of what I'm looking to create with this, with the book, with the softwares. And I'm going to keep working on that. But have been challenges, right? Like I mentioned, we had really scaled super fast, and we restructured certain elements of things a few years ago.
Meaning
to make
you
it
spent
more
a lot of
a
money on
recurring
ads, and you overextended yourself, and then that's what I think you were saying on the ad expense.
Yeah. So it's basically. Yeah, you spent a lot on ads, got a lot of clients, which was great, but we had a lot of one-off clients, and so we weren't focusing as much on building the way that we can retain and recur clients long term. We had a lot of clients that were like, this is fantastic, thank you so much, I'm going to do a video for you, see you later. And so it's okay, how can we actually extend what we're doing? How? So now we're supporting our clients with YouTube channel growth. We brought in a YouTube channel growth expert on our team. We also are consulting people on the funnel or the business model that they have overall, some of the stuff that we talked about. We're also on the cutting edge with YouTube ads, so it's hey, you're not going to want to miss the next VO3 or the next AI ad hook that we're going to be able to help you craft, because that's a brand new development. If you're not an active client, if you worked with us a year ago, you're not getting this more recent thing. And then also we're branching the next iteration is actually branching more holistically into video, hence the book Video Authority. We're looking to really kind of own the space of video. And that's a big step. It's a little scary, but it's, because I've been known like YouTube ads guy and then maybe the YouTube guy, but I think that taking this next step to really, look to be like the authority, in the world of video marketing. And I'm not saying that, I'm that yet, but that's what I'm looking to do and build up. I think that there's a big opportunity there. And that's what I'm looking to do and take kind of over time.
All right. Website is aleric.com. And then from there, they could go to everywhere else. Right on.
Exactly.
All right. Hope to see you in person again. See you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.